India says blood and water will not flow together. Pakistan hears a threat to its national lifeline. Then Chinese commentator Victor Gao raises the stakes. If India uses upstream water against Pakistan, China could use upstream water against India. That sounds like a chain of giant water switches. India closes one on Pakistan. China closes another on India. The map tells a more complicated story. No country can make these rivers disappear overnight. But an upstream country can control something almost as powerful: uncertainty over timing, data, storage, and what it may build next. That is the real weapon in this dispute.
Thank you. I think the IWT treaty itself is the gold standard, not only for India and Pakistan, but for the world. And for many decades, since 1960,
It survived wars, border crises, and decades of hostility. The deal splits 6 rivers into 2 groups.
now, what India tries to do is very dangerous. They are not only putting the IWT treaty in abeyance, they are actually making steps, taking steps.
After the Pahalgam attack in April 2025, India announced that the treaty would be held in abeyance. Prime Minister Narendra Modi later said, "Blood and water will not flow together."
Takes concrete steps to implement this attempt.
The guest, Victor Gao, tells Pakistan TV that India is trying to deny water to hundreds of millions of people. He calls the prospect a war crime and a crime against humanity. The civilian danger is real. Pakistan's farms, canals, power system, and cities are deeply tied to the Indus Basin. A sustained loss of major flows would be devastating. But the legal label is too certain, and the engineering claim is too simple. Pakistan gets about 95% of its renewable water resources from the Indus Basin. That dependence is why even a technically exaggerated threat can produce real fear in markets, farms, and government planning. A war crime requires a connection to armed conflict and specific legal elements. International humanitarian law protects drinking water and irrigation systems during war. Deliberately using water to starve civilians can become a war crime. A treaty dispute is not automatically one. The engineering matters even more. Look at what the numbers actually allow. Indian government figures put the western rivers at roughly 135 million acre-feet of water in an average year. The treaty permits India up to 3.6 million acre-feet of storage on those rivers. That permitted storage is also not the same as completed, usable storage. A legal allowance on paper cannot hold water until concrete, tunnels, gates, and transmission systems exist on the ground. Those numbers are not remotely the same scale.
And no country should be allowed to stop the flow of the water, to deny the flow of the water to the lower reaches, to deny the access of water to hundreds of millions of people. My concern is that
does not make the threat harmless. India can reduce data sharing. It can accelerate new projects. It can change some release schedules and reservoir operations. It can use maintenance and reservoir filling windows to create short disruptions. It can make Pakistan less certain about what arrives and when. In a water system built around planting seasons, canal schedules, and hydropower, timing is not a minor detail. A short disruption at the wrong moment can hurt more than a larger change at the right one. Uncertainty itself has economic value and strategic value. Then the interview adds China. Gao argues that India is not the true upstream power because the Indus main stem begins on the Tibetan plateau.
well, my concern is that India holds itself as the real upstream country as far as the Indus River is concerned. My understanding is it's not, because the water really comes. The real upstream country, that is China, may do the same thing to India.
The Indus system is not one river controlled from one mountain. It is a network fed by glaciers, snow, rainfall, and tributaries spread across the Himalayas. China has an upstream card. It does not hold a master valve for Pakistan. China's bigger leverage over India sits farther east. The Yarlung Tsangpo crosses into India and becomes the Brahmaputra. In July 2025, China began building 5 cascade hydropower stations on its lower reaches. The announced investment is about 1.2 trillion yuan. That is a river-scale industrial project directly upstream of India. Beijing says the project generates electricity without consuming the water and will not harm downstream countries. This is not one small dam. It is a river-scale industrial system spread across 5 cascade stations. India still has reasons to ask hard questions. How much water will be stored? How will releases work in a drought? What happens during an earthquake or extreme flood? How quickly will downstream governments receive emergency data? These questions are not anti-China. They are basic downstream risk management. The physical limit also runs both ways. The Brahmaputra gains enormous volume from monsoon rain and tributaries after entering India. China cannot close one gate and erase the river. It can still influence timing, sediment, dry season releases, and information. Retaliation creates a second danger. If India treats Pakistan's dependence as leverage, China can point to India's dependence. If China normalizes that response, every downstream country must treat every upstream dam as a future threat.
Bilateral to trilateral, involving China, India, and Pakistan together to make sure, in addition to all the guarantors, etc. So that probably will be a better way.
Article 12 says the treaty continues until both governments ratify another treaty terminating it. In June 2025, the treaty's Court of Arbitration ruled that India's abeyance position did not remove the court's authority over the existing dispute. India rejects that process and did not participate. So the legal mechanism continues, but it cannot manufacture political cooperation. India has an opposing case that deserves to be heard. Its officials say the old agreement gave Pakistan about 80% of the system's allocated water and imposed unusually strict limits on Indian development. They connect water cooperation to cross-border terrorism. That argument has force inside India, but it compresses the history. The treaty did not divide one tank 80-20. It divided 6 rivers, financed replacement infrastructure, and preserved limited Indian uses on the western rivers. Its purpose was to isolate water from every other conflict. Pakistan also has work to do. Pakistan needs more storage and more efficient irrigation. It also needs better groundwater management, flood protection, and crop choices. A legal victory is not a bucket of water during a drought. And India's current engineering limits will not last forever. New reservoirs and hydropower projects can expand its operational leverage over time. Pakistan is rational to take the threat seriously, even if not one drop is impossible today. China faces the same choice on the Brahmaputra. It can treat downstream anxiety as a public relations problem or reduce it with project data and dam safety transparency. It can publish release rules and build emergency coordination with downstream countries. Trust is also infrastructure. The wider climate trend makes that transparency more urgent. High mountain Asia supplies water to well over 1 billion people, while warming is changing the balance between snow, glacier melt, rainfall, floods, and dry season flow. The region needs more than a threat of retaliation. It needs shared glacier monitoring and flood data. It needs project notification, dam safety standards, and emergency release protocols. These tools sound less dramatic than a water war. Unlike retaliation, those rules can still work during the next crisis.
Especially major rivers actually flow from one country to another, etc., upstream, midstream, downstream, etc., before they feed into the ocean. So this is the normal thing.
It is entering a contest over who controls the uncertainty built into shared rivers.
Considering that much of the water in the Indus River originates from Himalayas in China, maybe eventually we should have a tripartite arrangement rather than purely bilateral, involving.
The danger begins when governments mistake uncertainty for control. No upstream state owns the whole river. The water keeps moving, and so does the vulnerability. Follow me, and I will take you inside the real story of China.